And welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. Politics.
I like politics. Yeah, I'm gonna use that.
It's good stuff.
Yes, about politics.
There it is. I couldn't find YouTube to turn off my own voice, so I got pretty messed up there. So hi everyone again. But yeah, so tonight we were supposed to have Ryan Christian of the Last American Vagabond, but we haven't quite touched base with him for the last couple of days, so I'm not sure if there was a time mishap or what quite happened. So hopefully he'll either show up or we'll get him on later. Either way, that's all right. We're just going to move on with kind of current events, what's going on in politics these last couple of weeks, because there's been a lot. If well, whether you're paying attention or not, there has been a lot. So first thing I'd like to talk about real quick, though, is should we start with the abortion bans, Christy?
Sure.
Should we do that?
Let's just jump right in.
Let's just jump right into that. So I'm going to start with the less obvious one, because today Missouri's Republican-led House passed legislation that would ban abortions at 8 weeks. It does include exceptions for medical emergencies, but not for incest or rape. Much like Alabama, but unlike Alabama, who will throw doctors in jail for 99 years, they're only going to throw them in prison for 15 years. Oh. So yay! But and also women who receive the abortions wouldn't be prosecuted. So when I heard this, what I said to Christy was, it just sounds like they're getting a little bit of variety to throw at the Supreme Court. Like if you throw enough shit at the wall, they're hoping something will stick. I'm sure Ohio will be next, so I'm so proud of my state. Just kidding. So I mean, and if you haven't heard, like if you live under a rock and like. And I'm a big fan of Patrick Starr, so don't be offended, please. If you haven't heard, Alabama has passed legislation, and I think they need like one more person to sign off with what the governor there. Do you remember? I'm not sure.
The whole thing makes my stomach sick.
Yeah, and as I said before, they will throw doctors who do an abortion. They would have to serve 99 years in prison. And I think the women would be charged with murder. And there is no exception for rape or incest. And the congressman who helped this pass, he's been asked questions about it. Well, like, what are we going to do about like incest or this or that? And he's like, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just writing the bill. We can have someone who's smarter than me figure this out. And I'm like, what?
Yep, he said, I don't understand the science of it. We'll have people that are smarter than me do that part of it. So he's just writing part of the bill part that they were asking him about was they wanted to take tubal pregnancies there's no way to save that, and that is mandatory. They want to relocate it so that it is a pregnancy, but as of right now, we don't have the science to do that. So that
procedure does not exist.
Doesn't exist.
So he's like, so just we'll have someone smarter than me figure this out.
Doctors said women would love that. There's many women that are trying to get pregnant and that happens to them, and they would love to be able to save that fertilized egg, but it's just not possible. I think that it's a bunch of idiots climbing over idiots to get these abortion bills in because they feel that the court is right for them to get Roe v. Wade taken care of in their eyes. Nobody can go to sleep right now. Nobody can sleep on this government, on this, all the local stuff that is happening, all the small chapters and on the ground grassroots is good and bad. I mean, we got AOC and we got a lot of people energized because of all this, but we also have, the religious right and the people who are funding these draconian laws also working nonstop. So now's not the time to be like, I don't want to do it anymore. I have felt like that recently, just a few days ago. Nope, I'm not doing policy or politics or anything today. And then I feel guilty and binge on politics.
Yeah. Yeah. So Alias Fake Name just pointed out in the chat that the governor of Alabama signed the bill into law to protect life. The next day, she killed a guy because they executed someone down there in Alabama. I think Lindsay says this quite often. Like, you're not pro-life, like you're fetus, right?
Pro-abortion. I mean, you're anti-abortion.
Anti-abortion.
Not
yeah, that's
you're
you're not pro. No,
right.
And that's obvious, right? Because if you look at what's happening down at the U.S. Mexico border, Republicans are not pro-life. No, not at all. Like, once it's born, they don't give a shit anymore. Yeah, look at Yemen.
Look at Yemen. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, there's.
Look at Syria, Afghanistan. No, they're not pro-life.
No, and
they're
I mean
anti-abortion.
And
if you think about it, they need more people to stay, fertile and not being able to make it past their class. They need serfs. They need peasants. They need them. And, I know that sounds conspiratorial, but what other reasons are there to make a woman have a child besides control? Pushing your religion on other people, which is illegal in this country, I thought, and keeping people down. If a woman has a child, then has another child, and she's probably not going to go back to school. If she has another one, a third one, she's probably never going back to school. And you have somebody that is a wage worker for life. It's crappy. We should be punching up, not punching down. Poor people are not our enemy. Poor people are not the enemy anywhere. It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on who you're talking to, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We're going to keep an eye on this because there's no possible way this is the end of this news.
No.
Right? So stay tuned. Because we'll be paying attention to abortion, and these are my least favorite conversations to have.
Yep.
Because it's just one of those talks where the other side is just fingers in ears, la 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 the whole time. Mm-hmm. Every Facebook fight that I get into that has anything to do with abortion is just my least favorite Facebook fight, and sometimes I can't help it. Sometimes I jump into that dumpster fire anyways, because you need to sometimes. You need to just go in there and be like, no, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, no one else on here has told you, but you're stupid, and your argument doesn't make sense.
But not in those words.
I don't know. Usually not. I'm like how I usually am. But today, on the way home, I started the comment that I made with this entire argument is just ignorant.
Well,
and then I started from there because all of it was because she went from abortion to progressivism being Stalinism, and then Chinese force women to have abortions, and just all of it. I'm like, okay.
It was scare, fear, Misinformation, scare, fear.
Yeah. Scare, fear, and just ignorance. A lot of ignorance.
Yeah, and it's, these wealthy men who will be the first one to make sure their mistress gets an abortion are okay with taking it away as a legal and safe option. I mean, it should be it's not like people are in these groups like, ooh, we're in the abortion group. We can't wait to go. I don't think that there is anyone on this planet that's pro-abortion. People are pro keeping it safe and legal, pro keeping it an option, because you never know what might happen. And I mean, I'm of the opinion that it's none of my business, and I don't care if I don't care if it's a married couple or a single woman. If that's her choice, I don't need to know. I need it to be safe for my fellow American, and I need it to be legal for my fellow American. I think that I hate that we have to have this conversation.
No, but
I want it to be done.
And I hate it too. But do you mind if we take just 5 minutes here and just talk about our positions on it? Because I don't think you and I have really talked about it a lot, and I think maybe it would be nice for our audience to know like our views on it.
Right.
And I can go first. Because like I think it's like I'm not just gonna throw let's do this, you go first. No, because I was having a discussion the other day with a friend too, about abortion, and because I don't, I know there are people who at least act like they are pro-abortion, right? Like
right.
Like there are idiots on the left, or so-called left, who just they kind of do use it as birth control. Is that the rule? Absolutely not. I think it's an exception. Like those people exist, right? But as far as I'm concerned, I think a rational take on this is that abortion should be a choice. I don't think it should be your first choice. I think that's fair. But it needs to be a choice because there's so many variants that could happen that could lead to it would be way better if I had an abortion, right? You don't want the baby to be born with birth defects that aren't going to let it live long or just be born in agonizing pain, right? You don't want that for a human.
Right.
Right. And I think if the baby's going to be born healthy, you ought to let it live, right? And you should, birth it. And if you don't want it, sorry, Christy. Birth it. Verb. It's a verb.
I don't know nothing about birthing no babies. What's that, Gone with the Wind? I don't know nothing about birthing no babies.
So, again, like I feel like if it's going to be healthy, you ought to, carry it to term and like let it be. But that's only to a certain point. Like I think if you're doing like a real early abortion, like it's fine. Like obviously late term abortions, like I think anything over like 25 weeks is absolutely, that's like a late term abortion. And you really probably shouldn't do that if there's something wrong with the child, because
they don't do it unless there's something absolutely wrong. Like there's just not a case. There's not a case in this country of someone being that far along and saying, nah. Because it's under, you still at that term, you still have to give birth.
Yeah. Like, at that point, you still have to.
They're telling you it is going to pass, or these things are definitely wrong with it. And as of right now, this is an option. If you wait another week or so, everybody will be safer now. Then, that's what the doctors and the science says to do. So I support that 100%. And that family that's going through that, I think of, there's just this whole stereotype around abortions, but the stories that you see and read are husband and wife and wife, that something this didn't work out and this was the option their doctor said they had to do, and they have to walk through a mass of people holding up signs saying they're going to go to, they're already so sad because this didn't work out, and so sad that they're not going to have a baby at the end of all this. And I just think that, the hatred, there's so much hatred, and this topic always brings out some really nastiness and not an ounce of empathy for each individual. Come on, these are, God-fearing, loving Americans. They love individualism. Well, this individual has their own individual story, and you can't lump them in, and they need support. This could be the saddest day of their life, and you are calling them a murderer. What the hell is wrong with you? I know that's off on a tangent, but that's exactly how I feel about that. I think that is some of the ugliest human behavior to do that.
I think it is. I understand. I really do understand where they're coming from. I used to have about the same mindset of it, right? It's murder. But obviously I don't anymore. Obviously I don't. And I think it's because, fetuses aren't persons, right?
Zygotes aren't.
Zygotes aren't. Right?
No.
And
I think I've seen out a zygote before.
Right. I think there's a lot of nuance there, and I think at like some point you do need to give a bit and be like, okay, yeah, at 25, 30 weeks, okay, we will call it a baby. That's fine. That's fine. Let's do that. Because I have heard shitty arguments from the left saying, that up until it's born, you can abort it. I'm like, no, that's also ignorant. You can't do that. We're not going to make any good ground with that argument. Yeah. But I like what I think what London does, referring back to Rachel Oates' Rationality Rules and Cosmic Skeptic, their talk on abortion.
It was a good one.
It was fantastic. And they said around 16 weeks is their cutoff, but you go in and it's free because it's covered there. And it's fine and it's done and it's over with. And it's safe.
And
I think, and legal. And at 16 weeks, I think you usually have enough time to decide if you want to have this baby. Right. You have time to make decisions, and it's not so developed yet that it can support itself outside the womb. I think that's probably a pretty good place to put it. But I think for the most part they just I think my main argument for not letting them ban abortions is there's too many reasons to have that option on the table. There's just too many reasons.
Yes.
So there's mine. If you want to clarify any of yours real quick, I think it'd be wonderful.
Yes, I am so far left on this. I think that in 2020, which we will be in shortly, and with over 7 billion people on this planet, if a woman is in a healthy relationship and decides, oh crap, birth control didn't work, and I think I'm pregnant, finds out she is and says, well, that's just not in my plans, I support her. 100%. If a woman is in an abusive relationship and he knows that she's not on anything, and this happens often, these are some of the most common stories for abortion, an abusive relationship where he makes sure that he comes inside her because it's a control thing. And she knows that if she brings one more kid, or even just what if she doesn't have any, most of them do already have kids. That's why they know they can't do it again. They can't bring another one in. They already have this one who's watching her get her ass beat day after day. I support her for I mean, yeah, yes. I think that we're just coming at this wrong. In a country that loves freedom so much, you can't push your anything on other people. Gosh, you tell these people that Sharia law is coming to this country and they shit bricks. They're emailing everybody because they don't want other ideologies pushed on them. It's the same thing for me. I think that my sole determiner, that's not even a word, but I know that you know what I'm saying, for this topic, this issue, is empathy. And it's per human. It's each human has their own story that goes with it, and I support all of them. I don't know of the statistics of people using abortion as birth control. I've never heard it on any sites except for right or religious site. I've never heard it anywhere else. I've never heard it in statistics. I've never looked it up I've never seen it in data. I've seen a lot of abused moms who already have kids, a lot. And poverty. And I support them. I don't think that they're doing anything wrong. If they're doing what's best for them and their family, right then, 100% support them. And the men who support them. I support their decisions, whatever they have to do. I think that it is it's a human condition, that kind of pain and raising a family or not raising a family. And those choices are not mine to make for someone else, ever.
Right.
But they are mine to, I support their decision. And I am on their side. I am not on the side of someone who uses their religion to demonize someone for making a very difficult decision that is theirs alone to make. And I don't think any government should be inside someone's uterus.
Yeah.
That's what
I think it'd be interesting to dive into this more sometime and maybe talk about the arguments, because we really get a lot of straw man arguments.
I agree.
Like all you want to do is slaughter babies right before they come out of the womb, kind of shit, right?
Nope.
And just that it's just murder. And I would really, really like it if anyone wants to come in, if you think you have a really good argument to really help in these kind of conversations, because I know I don't have the best arguments.
Yeah, and if we have any doctors or any nurses that are listening, and would like to, put your wisdom in,
that would be wonderful, because I really want to have better arguments for these kind of arguments, because one, I don't like having them, and I'd like to get them done swiftly.
Right. And they're so emotional. People that are arguing against it aren't coming from a, statistical, empathetic, human, rational spot. They're just not. They've been so worked up in a frenzy about this immoral atrocity that's happening. I saw something today that said liberals are complaining about black babies in Somalia or Yemen, but how many black babies are aborted each year? I'm like, we have so many things that we need to be working on. That is just taking energy and putting it over here to further your agenda, not what's better for everyone. And it's exhausting. It is. That's so overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a segue to our next topic, I'm going to read a comment here in the live chat. Doorknob Head says, here, how about the lady with 2 uteruses? Was that a double uterus? Spelled with a W? You son of a bitch.
Doorknob Head deserves an award, I think. Sometimes I've spit my coffee out. You got to be careful. Doorknob Head is hilarious.
Yes. Okay, so that said, we're going to go ahead and switch topics. Christy, what's our next one? You have a big thing there.
I do. Okay, guys. I'm sure some of my geeks have already heard or read, if they read newspapers. There was an alarming new report by a panel of leading scientists. It warns that human activities are causing the disappearance and deterioration of wildlife, and at a rate that could represent an existential threat to humanity within this lifetime. The UN's, now this name is so good, so I have to say the whole thing because it's just so, only the UN would have a name like this. The UN's Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, sorry, it tickles me, released its conclusions earlier this week. It found that 1 million plant and animal species could go extinct in the foreseeable future. So the study also estimates the global extinction rate is, and I'll quote, already at least tens to hundreds of times higher than it averaged over the past 10 million years. And they say tens to 100s. I needed to look that up because I was like, what? They did the most conservative to the most liberal in numbers. And the most conservative is tens of times higher. The most liberal is hundreds of times higher. So either. It is the largest and most comprehensive global study of biodiversity ever done. It took 3 years to complete. It was based on over 15,000 scientific papers and peer review studies along with them, pulling from a very wide body of evidence. The landmark report singled out industrial farming and fishing as major drivers of this crisis and called for, quote, transformative change immediately. The only way to arrest the present trends of biodiversity loss and species extinction is to start having transformative change immediately. Kate Brauman, one of the lead authors of this UN report, is an environmental scientist at the University of Minnesota. If anybody wants to look her up, she's a smart human. I started reading a book called Extreme Cities, The Peril and Promise of Urban Life in the Age of Climate Change, and another book called Extinction, A Radical History. Both of these books are by Ashley Dawson, a male professor. He's a professor of post-colonial studies at the City University of New York Graduate Center, and he was also one of the authors. So these two books have a lot of the information that goes along with this study and written out, not just in like, here's some scientific papers, read them. My name is not Shannon Q, and I don't get off on reading scientific papers. The books so far are pretty good, but they take an emotional, I feel, I'm sure you guys know who Greta is. Greta, the girl with the 2 braids. She protests every Friday in Sweden for climate change. She's been speaking everywhere. Yes. You know, she
the younger girl, right?
She's 16, but she looks like she's 11. Yeah, she does. Yeah. Was diagnosed with Asperger's, and, you know, when she says like many people with Asperger's, when they focus on something, they really focus on it. You know, that's what they're doing. And she really got into climate science and was reading all of these things and saw these reports from the 70s saying, you know, hey, this is coming, this is happening, and this is what's causing it. These are the things we need to do. And her little brain couldn't understand why the adults weren't doing anything. She stopped eating. She stopped sleeping. She stopped going to school. And then finally something told her, you know, herself, well, then I will do something about it. And she started a movement. And reading this information for this report and these 2 books, I understand that feeling that she has, that like, why try? And if you guys get a chance, just type in Greta UN speech, and there's a part towards the end. She also has a TED Talk where she does the same thing. She says, do you guys hear me? And the crowd says yes. She says, is my English okay? They say yes. She says, okay, because I'm beginning to wonder. You know, and she's just so powerful with her little self.
She's very smart.
She is, and she's very passionate. And there are little girls all over this country that are saying the same thing she did. She is. You guys aren't doing shit. You guys aren't doing anything. We have to live in it. You know, with studies like this being done, these are landmark studies saying we're about to lose biodiversity. That's enormous. And we're talking about tweets of people. You know, it does get overwhelming. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. And Greta's... Say what?
Doorknob head. Christy's trying to make us cry. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Just means that you love the planet, doorknob head.
Greta really is a wonderful human being. She's really worth looking up, and I think she's done a couple talks at the UN now.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she's not really hard to find, but she is very powerful.
Democracy Now! She talks with Amy Goodman. Yeah, I love how calm she talks. She's almost, Tulsi Gabbard does that. She just stays right here no matter what. She doesn't go up, go down. And it's a benefit of her.
I know how I love Tulsi Gabbard. I'm going to get all excited.
Greta does that. I noticed that with Greta too. It's she wants you to hear everything she's saying. So everything is slow and methodical, and it's very smart. Mm-hmm. People are listening to her. I'm so proud. I don't know about you guys, but I am so proud of the younger generations right now. There's always going to be the couple, and that's who everybody wants to talk about, who are fucking jackasses. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the kids who are starting movements about their environment, who are starting movements about gun violence. It's just, they're very, they give me so much hope. Very proud of them.
Yeah, I think this, they have information at their fingertips.
Yep. Wonderful.
And they're learning in school how to back check, right?
Yes.
And when I talk to anyone on the right, it's just like, well, their schools are brainwashing them. And that's
they are. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. They brainwash them every single morning.
Right. It's just.
That's why, if you ever even gave it a minute's worth of thought, that's why the religious right want charter schools so bad. They want them so bad. Because who controls the minds of the youth controls the future. And it's so important for them in their mind to go back to this time where you did what you were told and, you didn't cause trouble. Whistleblowers weren't, it's just, that's never going to happen.
Right.
But that's
and
why
if you think, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's why it's so important for them. Why they are allocating so much of the public school money into charter schools who aren't even held to the same standards. You can praise them.
What I was going to say is that if you think that's a hard concept to get, and they don't know that, just look at Ken Ham. He's stupid as fuck. He gets that.
Yeah. And why is it that out of all the people in the world that would have to look like they were between Lucy and current man, why is it Ken Ham? Why does he look like if Lucy and a modern day human had a baby, It would be Ken Ham. He looks like he didn't keep evolving.
Right. No, see, now, this is the problem.
That's
this
horrible.
is why
I shouldn't say that about his looks, but oh my gosh.
No. It's hilarious. Hilarious is a place on the show. that should be our eighth pillar of humanism.
He looks like in that classic picture where it's, the ape slowly standing up. He's like the mid, just from like right here up. This never.
Yeah.
It didn't do what it was supposed to do and evolve.
That being said, though, I think it's obvious to but I still want to point it out is they show Lucy, and then they show us, and we're like, we didn't come from that. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, kind of, but also the in the middle, you're like, where's the missing link? You mean the 1,000 missing links, or what? What is you're looking for? A lot there we're not seeing.
My favorite, it's totally off topic, but it makes me giggle so hard every time, is when I hear, well, yeah, micro, of course, micro. We have evidence. But macro? I'm like, there's no difference. There's nothing different if you... I can't.
Just show me 10 micros in a row.
Right. Can you add 500 billion years to your micro and see what happens? You silly ape.
Right?
My grandpa ain't no damn monkey.
Yeah, but if you add a couple greats there. So, okay. So that's that.
Yes.
All right. There were two more things that I wanted to touch base on, and one,
yes,
I had completely forgot about, but we'll get back to that here in a second. It's the Venezuelan embassy. Embassy. I can't talk tonight. That's fine, guys. But first, I want to get to our Muslim congresswoman.
Yay!
Because in case anyone here has bought into the bullshit, and I wouldn't blame you. Depends on the news you watch, right? We've been hearing things back and forth. One about Ilhan Omar, which we have already talked about, right? Her tweets being taken out of context, or just her speeches being taken out of context. When she's talking about Muslim people in America being treated like second-class citizens because on 9/11 some people did something, and now they're treated like this, right? And they shouldn't be. So all the right-wing media takes out of that entire dialogue is on 9/11 some people did something.
Right, I know.
Cool. Because that's going to help discourse. So it's happened again. There's no surprise, right? And I don't have the direct tweet. I couldn't find it. But and it may have actually come from a video. But Rashida Tlaib, she said that she gets a calming feeling when she thinks about the Holocaust because her ancestors...
I have it.
You have the direct tweet? Go for it. Go for it.
Well, it just... our headline on Monday read, Rashida Tlaib says her Palestinian ancestors made a safe haven for Jews after the Holocaust. We quoted the remarks she gave to the podcast, Skullduggery, in which Tlaib asserted that she gets a, quote, calming feeling when she considers that the Palestinians created a safe haven for Jews during the Holocaust, end quote.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound quite so bad.
Sounds so evil.
Right?
Oh.
I'm proud that
we
my
must burn her at the stake.
Gave Jews somewhere to go after the Holocaust. Are you anti-Semitic? Do you hate Jews? You must hate Israel. It's yeah, there's a little bit there that was quite a bit ignored. So I briefly wanted to mention that because it's important. It's important to not take shit out of context.
Right? And you know what? We're dealing with adults. Like,
yeah, we are
this world we're talking about is adults, are grown-ups that are professionals that work at Fox News and MS. You know, these are adult professionals that I would think would want to better the world that they live in, make it at least a little better than it was the way they found it. If they have kids, or some people don't want them, and that's fine. But they're still your human race and the planet. Like you have to. How do you not care? How do you want to make it worse? How do you wake up in the morning and think, how can I fuck up the discourse? How can I make sure I hold on to the narrative and slap it up, flip it, rub it down any way I want? How can I make these people look bad? I just, do they wait? Like, okay, say something I can use. And like, you're not helping, asshats.
No, but like, they know that. And like, obviously they're not trying to help anyone on the left or like middle ground, right?
Oh, they just want to stick it to the libs.
Stick it to the libs. Them libtards. They think the Holocaust was a good thing and 9/11. Na. Right?
Who thinks that though? Where did they get that?
Like, I had to correct someone at a work about this the other day about Ilhan Omar, because of the awful thing she said, and I'm so glad that I look into this enough so I could correct him. And what was nice is he just shifted his view on it.
Right.
I completed the sentences a couple times, and he's like, "Oh, okay, well, you know what?" And he like literally threw his hands up. He's like, "All right, that's fair." Yeah,
there are a lot of people like that, Mac. There are a ton of people like that. It's just they're not given an opportunity, to see, not just be told about it. I mean, you could have just told him and walked away, and he probably wouldn't have changed. But you were able to be like, "No, look, this is wrong."
Right.
We just got to reach a lot of people. We need our capes to come in.
Yeah. Did you say our capes?
Yeah. Yes.
I think we're gonna have to add just like a little cape to our little dude.
Yeah. You're just like floating over here.
Yeah.
I love it.
We're not like, no capes. No, yes, capes.
Yes, capes. Always like capes. Are you kidding me? Capes and living room forts. Yes. Like die. Yes, living room.
Here's my supercomputer.
Boop, boop,
boop. As far as the 1980s are concerned, this is a supercomputer.
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness. Yes. All right. And then you have one last story.
Yeah, and it's not really a story except for the last thing I just wanted to mention real quick is that Dick Cheney's daughter and Donald Trump were amongst those who were tweeting out just the Rashida Tlaib gets a calming feel from the Holocaust. Oh. Just wanted to throw a couple names out there.
That's something that mean girls in middle school do. They collab about it, like, okay, but we're not going to tell them she said that. We'll just tell them this. That's juvenile mean girl shit. And I know that I don't expect anything more from the president that we have right now because his actions haven't shown that he is above that. Ever. Any chance he gets, he's never above that. So it's just, then I think, God damn it. The president of the United States of America isn't above mean girl middle school crap. And then we have more than like a few days left of him before the election. So.
Yeah, that's a nice way to say it.
Yeah. I mean, something good happens and restores my faith. And then I think I see the time we have left and I'm like, it's less than 2 years. We got this. And then something happens, like he retweets Mean Girl middle school crap, and I'm like, oh, we have almost 2 years. The glass is so half empty.
I know. It's awful. We're almost to just a year and a half, though. Count down by 6 months. All right. So moving on to our last little topic of the night, and we'll I'm sure we'll have a lot to say on it, so it'll probably take more than 7 minutes. But the Venezuelan debacle, right, and the embassy. From what I'm seeing from headlines, because I have not caught up on this in the last 2 days, I haven't been able to. It looks like the rest of the protesters have been evicted from the embassy. Is that right? I'm sure you know.
Yes, it is. And headlines in many other countries are America breaking international laws, America not giving a fuck about national sovereignty, America not following the rules that it set forth at the Geneva Convention. I mean,
they're breaking their own international rules.
Right. But think about that. You are not making Americans, if you're America first, you're not making Americans safer right now, because we have embassies everywhere. And you just said these laws don't matter if you want to do something.
Yeah.
So what, are you going to hold them in contempt of these? Obviously, it doesn't matter. So now you just set precedent across the globe of just like a big to embassy laws, and it's a freaking nightmare.
And because Maduro is still in charge of Venezuela, he can just take over the U.S. embassy down there. He can just do that. He can just do the same thing we just did and be like, "What you going to do?"
Listen, Mac, I know. And if it was like Israel and America having a spat, or Russia and America having a spat, this is different. This is different because they are waiting for, they're hoping that something like that happens. This is what they want. Anything to get him to do one little thing, because Americans here in America, not getting any information but what is spoon-fed to them, think that there is a dictator in office that is starving people and making them eat zoo animals, and that nobody's getting medicine. They're not saying anything about the American sanctions. They're not saying anything about all the other things that add up to the disaster going on. They don't mention them. They only mention the ones that fit the narrative that they need to push. So when Americans hear that there are pro-dictator protesters taking over an embassy here in this country, they're going to be on the side of the government because they don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So when or if down in Venezuela something happens in an American embassy, that's Bolton's go for it. That's his green light to go to war with Venezuela, because they did something on our sovereign property. And that's how it would be fed here. And Americans, not knowing any better, would think, well, yeah, they deserve that.
Yeah, because they don't even know what's going on at the embassy in D.C. No. So if they hear that the Venezuelan government has just taken over the U.S. embassy in Venezuela, that's all they'll hear. They won't hear because we did that to them. Right. And also another thing that you hear a lot, because Christy triggered it, and I don't remember what she said now, but is that Venezuela is like becoming like an isolated country because they won't accept our humanitarian aid or anything like that. But again, they don't tell you that they are accepting humanitarian aid from China, Russia, and India, I think?
Mexico, India.
Mm-hmm. So Korea. Yeah, it's not that they're being Icelandistic. I don't know the right istic word for that, but I can't think right now. But the issue is when we were sending humanitarian aid, they found guns on a plane. They're trying to deliver to the opposition. Right. So
and
can't really trust you.
Elliot Abrams has a history of humanitarian aid cargo
in
having
the form of guns.
Right. Yeah. So whether there wasn't or was, even the Red Cross, which isn't on anyone's side, they don't care about that. They said, do not accept the humanitarian aid. It is political. Do not do it. And let other countries know that, that we are getting their humanitarian aid because they just want to give us food. They just want to give us medicine. They just, if America wanted to help, if the Trump regime wanted to help the poor, starving Venezuelan people, all they would have to do is lift the sanctions off Venezuela.
Yes, just lift
and let in the medicine, and let in the food, and let in the trade, and just give up on privatizing the oil of another goddamn nation. If that nation wants to nationalize their own resources to help their own people, that's what they want to do. If they want to privatize it and help international companies, well, that's what they want to do. And let the people decide that. And if you don't like Maduro, that's fine. I don't like Trump. I don't think that Pelosi should announce herself president and then have other countries around the world say that they think that she's the interim president now. No, it's not like this is my toy and you can't play with it. Let's be grown-ups. Let's just wait until their election. He obviously won. He is their president. Trump won. He's our president. I don't like him. I don't think Trump's a dictator. But I also think that our government and democracy was set up, at least in part, has stood up to him, and has protected us. But a country that doesn't have those safety nets like that, then you get Bolsonaro or like Brazil right now. So let's just stay out of it. Venezuela, going into that embassy in D.C., I wanted to say I wasn't surprised, but honestly, I feel like my love affair with this nation of mine is an abusive one, because I just thought when they went in the other day and then didn't do anything, I thought, you know what? Someone told them in their earpieces, turn around and come back out. Listen, the whole world is watching. Let's not let's not cause more problems. We're already being investigated by the UN. But I'm sure they didn't give a that the UN is investigating them for human rights abuse and war crimes, because they don't show up to any of it. And I should have known that they would have gone in and got them anyway. But that night I went to bed feeling a little bit lighter because I've been following the story. Sunday night that they hadn't gone in, and then I woke up Monday and they'd all been arrested. It's really disappointing.
Yeah, and I don't know what's happened since then. And I don't know what's happened with the
Chelsea Manning got rearrested today. I'm sure most of you guys heard that.
I didn't know she was released.
She got released and re-arrested.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope.
Oh my god. When was she released?
A day or two ago.
God. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just this is something I wanted to point out, and I want to point out before I forget, is that I see a lot of people on the right wing of politics who are for overthrowing the Venezuelan government, right? For the government saying, if you have an abortion, it's murder, and you have to serve time in prison. For fucking over whistleblowers on telling on our government to the American people, to our our government, telling the government to, like Congress and to just the press, when we commit war crimes and other fallacious bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But we want a smaller government. We don't want government controlling our lives. We don't want the government, telling us how to live. No, but yeah, I guess it's okay if they tell the rest of the world how to live, because we are the cops of the world. Right? And I'm not just trying to
women. It's okay if they tell our women how to,
Right. It's like they want a smaller government, but they want a stronger, bigger government at the same time. They want a stronger military.
Liberal government. They want a smaller government as far as safety nets and taking care of people. They do not want a smaller government when it is, even if it was a theology, as long as it's their theology.
Yeah.
They're okay with that. Telling everybody to do the things that they already do and believe in. Yeah, that's fine. It's having their tax money go for things that are that they don't understand and are different than them, like a trans person. That's where they're like, oh, I don't want big government. Yeah, it's just so hypocritical. It is.
Right. And Mike Pence was just on some news show, and he said that he just mentioned Israel and how their most sacred ally, which is kind of bullshit, number one. But my point is, they're a theocracy, right? They're pretty much a theocracy. And I think that's just what they want here. They just want a theocracy here.
Pence, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, Pence.
Love that. Yeah.
Trump's like indifferent. He's like, I guess it sounds good.
He comes
Let's do it and then tell me what it means.
A class of person and is a narcissist enough that it wouldn't matter if he helped create a system that was like that, because he is above it. So it wouldn't matter if it was harsh and draconian to others, because he's above it and he can pay to be above it, is how he feels.
Well, yeah, but also
I think he feels.
Right. But also, like, he's a robot. So is it really going to hurt his feelings, his robot feelings, if we live in
he's very sensitive. Our president is very sensitive and easily traumatized.
I was talking about Pence. Pence is the robot.
Yeah, Pence is
He's a robot with, like, a real thick stick up his ass.
Yeah.
It's not gay. God put it there.
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, ends on something funny real quick, because it'll make everyone kind of giggle. It was a tough show. Cool. Okay. Yeah,
it was. So, and thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. Oh, do you have a funny thing?
I do. I have something funny.
Okay. I thought you told me to be funny. Well, I have a couple comments after this, but please be funny. Be funny, okay. Christy, now. Don't drink your coffee.
Okay, I'm sorry. Don't hit me anymore.
Everyone's waiting.
I'm sorry. I'll be good.
You know you deserve it.
No.
For now that we're done with the domestic abuse, we'll get to the funny.
So, if you have, a really homophobic grandfather or uncle or neighbor, or everybody knows somebody that is just a bigoted homophobe, and they're also Christian and plan to be buried. So they're not going to be cremated because of their beliefs. They're going to be buried. Every time they start to be bigoted or say something, it's okay to smile, because you're going to be smiling and you're going to be thinking that his bigoted, homophobic behind is going to have a butt plug in it, like this big for all eternity, because they have to put it in there. So, when he's like, put things up the butt and that's gay, just, yes, uncle, or just smile. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what's coming for your behind. Just, one of those wonderful things that you can just smile and know. Science.
Thank you for that, Christy.
You're welcome.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm dead. I'm not dead. I'm not dead. I'm not ready.
Nobody was ready for that.
No. That said, we had a couple extra videos out this week. We had our wonderful guest, Jim Majors, since things didn't work out quite as well as we'd hoped last Friday. So he came back, and I have a couple comments here, which were wonderful, from Sergio Bastian.
Sergio!
Sergio, you're wonderful. And oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I saw him in the chat.
Yay!
I told him that. Yay! He says, I've been waiting for this for a week. So worth the wait at 48 minutes and 40 seconds. He quotes us saying, was he risen? Yeah, but could you believe it took him 3 days? If you guys haven't caught that, check it out. And then from Wally Vicious. Fantastic interview, so much better than Jim destroying Captain Cunt Korish. Thanks, Christy, Mac, and Jim. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Then Jen Morgan has some helpful criticism for us. Matt, Christy, you know I love you to death, but geez Louise, 20 seconds in Photoshop with Jim's pick and a little blue correction would make him look normal instead of like he's in liver failure.
Oh my God, that's so good.
If you need a Photoshop artist, just ask me. I've been using it since 1990. No charge. Sorry to seem whiny. I just want you guys to look pro as you can. This will help. Yes, your stock thumbnail needs a little help too. Christy is too blue and desaturated. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. So thank you very much. And Nacha had talked to her a little bit back and forth. And at the end here, I see Disciple of Kairos, or Jim Majors, said, it's really my fault. I shouldn't drink in selfie. Beautiful man. So thank you for the comments. Thank you for joining in. Please give this video a like if you liked it, and if you didn't, like it out of irony. And please give it a share on Twitter and Facebook. Share us around. That'd be wonderful. I hope here in the next week or so we can get Ryan from the last American Vagabond on, because that would be wonderful. If you guys haven't seen his channel, it is already linked below.
Yes, and then Tabernacle as well.
Yes, I think it's changed now. But if you guys want to check him out, you should do that. It's just the last American Vagabond. So check him out. He really is wonderful. We hope to have him on sometime soon. And if you guys don't know how to find us, our channels are linked down below. So find me, Christy, or our producer, our tech guy, Nacha Witness. We're all linked down below.
Our Lord and Savior.
Our Lord and Savior. So thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and
be humanists for God's sakes.